Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. Welcome to my 2022 LinkedIn Lives, my career clarity and confidence LinkedIn Lives. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that I know that's on a lot of people's minds, which is career clarity. So if you're here, say hello, whether you're joining me live or even if you're watching on replay. Like I always go back in and look at all the comments and, make sure that I'm all caught up. So I'm Kelli Thompson. I'm a women's leadership coach and speaker. Actually, my first book comes out this year. It's called Closing the Confidence Gap. So I get to add author to my title. I'm really excited about that. But I'll be here every Tuesday talking about women's leadership and career topics. So I'd love to have you join me. But today, we're going to talk about how to find career clarity. So this is really fascinating if you've been keeping up with some of the research. So early last year, McKinsey Women in the Workplace report kind of gave an indicator that 4 in 10 women were burnout at work and were looking for something different. Or they were just looking to make a change in their current career. This doesn't always mean that like the solution is leaving your current organization. I'll just be open and honest that sometimes this means the solution is having conversations inside your current organization to bring your job or your career more in alignment with what you're looking for. Last November was the highest rate of people leaving their jobs. Now, they were finding something different. But I think what we all know and what the big quit, the great resignation has really taught a lot of us is that people are really asking themselves the question in their career of, is this worth it? Is this what I'm meant to be doing? I have a daughter quarantining in the basement right now because she has, COVID symptoms. We're just like a lot of other people, we're vaccinated, but, it still happens. And, when you're trying to, send down food and take homework, she's printing off my printer and taking it downstairs to her in between meetings. And I have a 16-year-old. I can't even imagine what it was like for the moms who had littles at home who just aren't as self-sufficient as she is. A lot of these things started to really encourage people to ask the question, am I doing what I'm meant to be doing? Is this worth it? Is this what I want to get up every day for? And I think sometimes when that happens, it can be really scary. So this was obviously pre-pandemic, but I'd spent about 11 years at the same organization. It was the first place that hired me when I moved back to Nebraska I lived in St. Louis. I worked for an investment firm after college. And they raised me. Like they saw me get married. They saw me have a baby. My coworkers were some of my best friends. They saw me go through a divorce. I think sometimes when you've worked for an organization a really long time, sometimes you like, gosh, like it is like the people here kind of watched me grow up. And so I think sometimes there's almost like a sense of loyalty that comes with that. But I knew that I was kind of getting bored there too, because I would find myself kind of, moving roles every couple of years. And there were things that I was definitely really, really passionate about. I was definitely passionate about training and human resources and education, leadership development. I was always seeking out, opportunities for that. But one of the trends that I started to notice was that I kept getting bored and I kept switching roles about every 2 years. And I remember I had worked in the human resources, leadership development training function for a long time. And I was like, marketing would always be interesting to me. And so I made a connection with someone and applied for a job in the marketing department. And sure enough, about 6 to 8 months into that role, I was already finding myself looking at the job posting boards again. And I was like, this is a cycle. And I can't keep constantly searching for something new because I don't know if you've been like me, but it's like I would get into the job and everything would be really exciting. The new salary, the new title, and all of those things. And then the new job smell would wear off. And then I would just be left with work. Tell me if you're watching me live or watching me on replay, like, have you ever been through this where you're like, I feel like this new job smell is wearing off a little too quick? Or maybe you have been in your job for a long time and you had the other worry that I had was, I've been here so long, can I even succeed anywhere else? What if like all my success here has just been luck? And when I go to another company, I'm going to be exposed for like that I'm totally unqualified. Maybe you've been in the I have clients who've been in the same role at the same company for a long time, and they're even thinking about applying for a higher level role at their current organization because they do love their current organization. They don't have plans to leave. But just the thought of having more exposure of a higher level role, more exposure to leadership, trying something new, that's where sometimes our doubt comes in, and it was like, who do you think you are that you could try these sorts of things? And that's why I always call it the imposter monster, because it's always like sneaking around the corner at like the least appropriate time. So I think it's really common to have a lot of these doubts. And so then we start to ask ourselves some questions like, I don't even know what I would want to do. Could I even be successful there? And so I want to address the question, which is, I don't even know what role I'm supposed to be doing, or, how do I even figure out what I want to do if I want to make a change? I mean, sometimes even that in and of itself can be really confusing. And if there's one thing that the ego hates most, it's ambiguity. It likes to avoid it at all costs. It doesn't like to have, it doesn't like this whole not knowing. So even just the thought of making a career change with all of this not knowing can be really scary. So I want to give you 5 questions to ask to help you just start to find a little bit more clarity on what you're meant to be doing. And this could lead to you redesigning your current role, and asking and having conversations with your leader about bringing in more projects that really align with some of these things. This could look like maybe you're going to apply for a promotion or try to do something a little bit different in the organization that you're in. Maybe it could look like, helping you find clarity on what you need to be looking for if you are thinking about switching organizations. So let me walk through the 5 questions. So question number 1, what work makes me feel most like me? So I want you to think to yourself, like, over the course of your career, what work did you do where you're like, oh, this is just easy? Like maybe the work itself was actually really challenging, but to you it felt easy because you're like, this is just me. This is what I love. This is what I want to be known for. Like this just makes me feel like me. It feels like home, right? It feels like this is what I've been put on this earth to do. And you may not have the answers right now, and that's okay. I want you to take down these 5 questions, and then I'll kind of tell you what to do next with them. And even if you answer, I don't know, to all these questions right now, I'll give you some next steps. The second question is, what projects felt exciting and energizing? Like the work was effortless. So think back over the course of your career. What work just made you feel like after you had, finished working on the project or you'd spent all afternoon on it, you had still had a ton of energy. It didn't drain your energy. Like you still felt like, oh my gosh, this is so energizing. I'm just magnetic. I wish I could just, put all of the other project work aside and focus just on this thing. So just think about, what was that work that made you feel in flow? That if you could spend your whole day working on that project or that thing, that's what you would do. Number 3, what types of what could I geek out about all day long? So kind of similar. Like for me, I was just talking with a client about this question. Like in corporate, I was like, don't you even get me started on building like a talent development or leadership program for an organization, because I'll like pin you in a corner for 30 minutes. Like think about that. What are those topics, right, that you just geek out about all day long? And if you're watching live or in the replay, I would love it if you would drop what makes you geek out all day long, because everybody's is different. I've had clients who said, balancing a budget makes me geek out all day long. I could talk to people about how to budget and, read profit and loss statements and all these things. I had a client I just got off the phone with who was just geeking out about process improvement and all the things that people don't think about and how we got to do this, 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 and this, and this, and how she uses it in her career. I have people who geek out about getting on the phone and, building relationships with people, about creating strategies. I mean, there's no one right thing to geek out about. I want you to think, what is it that if you just had unlimited time, what would you geek out about? The 4th question is what types of projects do I long for or continually search for? So this could be a really big clue as to what you're meant to do with your career is really thinking about like over the course of my career, where did I hear about initiatives at work where I hoped they would pick me? Where did I hear about initiatives at work where I was sad they didn't pick me? I think sometimes we like to avoid those difficult emotions, but those difficult emotions, again, I had a call with a client this morning where she was sharing that she felt disappointed, a little left out, and maybe a little envious of a situation or a project in which two of her coworkers were selected and she wasn't. And instead of just kind of ignoring or glossing over those emotions, we just were like, those emotions are just data. And they're really helpful in informing us as to what's important to us. What are those emotions telling you? And she's like, it just tells me that these are the types of projects I want to be included in. I love, this conversation. I want to be part of this. And I need to make a concerted effort of telling people that this is something I want to be a part of. So I think sometimes, just even noticing where you've been sad that you weren't included can be really helpful data as to the type of things that you want to do in your career. And then the last question is to ask others. I think lots of times we are really blind to the things that we're really good at because it's so easy for us. It's just so easy for us. It comes supernatural. I've had people tell me, gosh, like you ask really insightful, good questions. And I always overlooked that. I was like, really? Because it was just like it was as easy for me as breathing. And that's like how it would be for you too. Sometimes these things that you do at work feel so easy for you. You're like, I don't have a unique talent. There's nothing that's like unique about me. Like, because I think it sometimes is so easy for you that you don't put emphasis on it because it's just easy. But other people look at you and they're like, I do not know how this person just does this so effortlessly, so well. I have a client who's truly what makes her really stand out at work and what's really brought her a lot of career clarity and looking for her next role is it is really important for her to go into a new organization, start something brand new, whether it's a brand new strategy, a brand new innovative product, and something that's really messy and scary and big and huge in scale. Like for her, that's as easy as breathing to start something new, huge, messy, innovative, building it from the ground up, having hard conversations, facing failure. That brings her alive. She has to have that at work. And that was a huge aha for her this year. And for, other folks, they might be like, that sounds terrible, right? But that's why I think it's so important to ask other people what they think that we are great at. Because, for her, that was something she discovered through asking for feedback. She's like, I just thought that everybody could do this. I just didn't think this was a thing. And we're like, no, it's a thing. And everyone else had told her that's what made her so valuable at work was her ability to do that. And she's like, I love doing that. So asking other people what they think you're great at, what you do better than anyone else is a really great way to gain some career clarity because they can see things that you can't because it's just so easy for you. So I want to recap the 5 questions and then let you know what you can do for next steps if you're still feeling a little bit confused. And if you have questions, please drop them in the comments. You can private message me later. Like I know this is a very big topic that has a lot of ambiguity. And sometimes it's just really hard to see for ourselves what we're good at. And it can be hard to get really clear on the value that we bring to the table. But I will tell you, it's so important, especially when it comes to overcoming doubt and imposter syndrome and, taking the right next steps in our career. So the 5 questions to create career clarity are, what work makes me feel most like me? What projects just absolutely make me come alive and feel totally energized? What topics or work could I geek out about all day long? Like if somebody asks me about it, like they better have 30 minutes because I get really passionate about it. What type of projects do I continually search for or long for? And this could be things that you're hoping to always get picked for, or maybe things that you feel a sense of disappointment that you didn't get chosen for because it's something that you really want. And then the 5th question is to ask others. When you think about me, what sets me apart? What do you see as my unique talents. And so you may not have answers for this right away. This might be something where you need to take the next 2 weeks and go on a noticing assignment. This level of like, call it like energetic self-awareness isn't always apparent. We've never really stopped to think about, what is my energy level at work? What is my energy level with this project? And so if the answers to these questions aren't super clear with you, I want you to, for the next couple of weeks, just notice your energy. What are you working on that gives you energy? What are you working on that drains your energy? I had a leader that I worked with who actually gave this assignment to her entire team. She said, for the next, I think she gave the time frame of 2 weeks. I want you to just keep a journal, a Post-it, whatever. She goes, and in your daily work, I want you to just rate your energy. What's your energy level on, each type of project that you've been given? And she was such an awesome leader. She got that feedback from all of her team. First things first, they felt safe to give it to her, and that they weren't going to be penalized if they rated their energy as low and something that they thought should be high. But she took that and she's like, it was such a powerful tool for me as a leader to redistribute work to things that brought people energy. Because she goes, what drains someone's energy over here might elevate someone's energy over here. And so she goes, when I could realign those projects appropriately, she's like, we all felt better at work. Okay. So that's assignment number one. Just notice your energy. Just notice. Notice what gives you energy. What do you love to talk about? What do you long for? How does your work make you feel? That can give you some clarity on what you're meant to be doing. And I think once you can name that, then you can have a little more insight on what types of roles you should be looking for, what conversations you should be having with your leader to redesign your current role. The next thing I want you to think about is, if you still come to a loss, I want you to start with what you don't want. Sometimes, it's really hard to know what we do want, believe it or not, because you're like, I don't even know what I need. But oftentimes we can tell people what we don't want. So if all of this fails, I want you to just make a list. This is what I know I don't want. Just step one. I know I don't want this. Notice your energy. This makes me feel like junk. Okay. So start to just keep a list of the things that you don't want, and maybe notice how you can set some boundaries or delegate or dump some of that out of your life so that you can maybe clear up a little more room to find some of the things that you do love. So your next steps might look a little different. I mean, obviously you're noticing and doing this assignment. It may look like having a conversation with your leader about making some shifts in your work. It could be looking for a different project or role inside your organization that, is a little bit more in alignment with what you're meant to do. And, it could also look like looking at another organization. There's lots of other factors that go into that. But that also could be an option for you. So if you have more questions about this, feel free to message me or comment right here on LinkedIn. In the chat, I have my free career clarity guide. That's always a great place to start too. There's a lot of tools and videos in that you can download and find a little bit more career clarity. The other thing that you can also consider is my spring cohort of my Clarity and Confidence Women's Leadership Program begins in March. And this 8-week online program, it's live with me. There's live classes with me, has given a lot of women a tremendous amount of career clarity that they've used to really accelerate and advance with more confidence in their current roles, apply for promotions, new opportunities. Sometimes it creates an opportunity for a career change, but not always. Many times they just have conversations and create some change within their current role as well, ultimately helping them advance with more clarity and confidence. So I can drop a link for that too, or you can definitely message me. So happy Tuesday. Here's to finding career clarity for you all, to finding the right next step. It's worth searching for. I promise. It will make everything amazing. And it's always an ongoing project. I think we're always evolving into the things that we're meant to become. So I'd love to hear from you on your thoughts, on your results from this, or any questions that you have. And until then, I will see you all next Tuesday.